Oh, yeah. You're in Denver, Will? Did you try that place?
I completely forgot about it. Yeah. Send me a reminder because I have to go further into downtown after this meeting.
Okay, Avanti is what it is. Um, okay, so there's a few like things I want to get off to-do list from Tammy's email, and just a kind of a yes or no, everybody what they think. A, should we reach out to Troy and have them stop the survey altogether until we get everything fixed? Because I got five in the other day.
Wow.
Just a
Okay.
random Friday. So we have 20, I think 20, because I think you guys submitted one yesterday and it had no like answers to it. So
Ah,
um
gotcha.
I was like, what is this? But then I put two and two together. So if we're okay, I'm gonna we can let Troy know just to kind of have
Yeah.
everybody pause.
Yeah, I think Pi, I mean, Pi, would you agree that, I mean, we're going to change the survey quite a bit. And so, um, it may be like when we're looking through some of this, looking at the fact that we've got a few more to look at will be nice, but that, yeah, it's fine to go ahead and pause it since we're changing the survey quite a bit. And, yes, is my answer. In like one word,
Okay.
sorry.
Everybody okay with that then? Nobody
Yeah.
opposed? Okay. And then she also mentioned maybe offering a pizza party to the assessors just for even like going through all the motions and helping us figure this out, and and I can organize that.
I think that would be
Oh,
nice.
I wasn't sure what she meant. I was like, wait, we get pizza? We didn't really do anything.
No, to offer it to the assessors because they like basically showed us how much we need to change it. So they still did a
Yeah.
lot of work and just getting it out there and like dealing with it. So I'm gonna say yes to that. If anybody
I know
disagrees, then
I know just the place for the Albuquerque crew.
okay. Yeah, we'll have to you'll have to help me with that then. Um, and then so I've been working on kind of the thoughts around the piloting, just to kind of get another review of it. And let me share my screen real quick. Hmm, maybe it's this one. Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is a quick fire report from the 20 that the 20 surveys that we did get in. And it's interesting to look at the actual demographics. So I wanted to like think about who are we actually getting in. So a lot of them were female, some of them were male, one non-binary. And you'll see that there's one empty up here. I think that's the one that you guys filled out yesterday. Um, but then we go into the age. It ranges from 27 to 78 with the average, I think it was where did I put that? I put it down here. Yeah, the average was 57 and the max was 78, minimum was 27. So kind of thinking about the age group. So it's not just older adults, it's not just middle age, that sort of thing. Um, and then 88%, now five people did not respond to this, but 88% are white, and then American Indian and German Spanisher. And then out of that, I ask if they identify as Hispanic or Latino, and half say yes, or just about half, and half say no. So while we may like think, okay, this is a primarily Hispanic, Spanish speaking kind of communities, that's not how they're identifying. That's not, it's not across. That's very generic, right? So we have to kind of think about that as well. Um, and then I would say, a third ish is high school graduate only. And then some of them went to college and then some of them have a degree. So it's not just very low income or very low education. It's just kind of kind of across the board in a way. So I wanted to show you those demographics first before I went into here. So I put together a list of, what's our chat? Okay. One person said they, okay, so yeah, this could be just how they identify and not necessarily what they are. So I've been looking into local places that kind of nonprofits that focus on the Latinx or Latinx and kind of more of a lower income communities. There's the El Centro that Misa mentioned, Mujeres de Colores. It's been a long time since I've done Spanish. Is also one. They work with individuals, working class and low income families. Fuerza Latina is also an organization of immigrants and allies for families in that community. The interesting about this one is that they also have a connection with CSU Extension to provide Spanish language and culturally attuned aging mastery program. So that not only are they in Spanish speaking community, but they also have an older adult program through CSU or combined or helping with CSU. So I think that would be also a good avenue to try to see if we can connect with their community. And the Family Center, Tammy saw this one and said that they did a lot of community engagement recently, so they may be a good one to tap as well or reach out to. And then I've got Norco Alliance, again, and more immigrants, and then a Little Help and Fort Collins Senior Center are both ones for older adults in the area. And the Senior Center is, oh wait, no, Little Help has lots of these like things called Little Talks. And so this month it's Alzheimer's and dementia. Last month was exercising your mind and body. And I really feel like if we connect with them, we could maybe present at their thing and then take a survey, have them, a few people take a survey or something. So it's just kind of ways to get into the door and also that community. So the last few are just more like kind of resource based ones that have connections to other places. They may not be the ones that would give us like the Chamber of Commerce. They may not be the right age, education, and income level that we're looking at that community, but it could be an open door to something else. So I wanted to review all of these with you guys, see if that aligns with what demographics we've received, and if anybody else has any other places they can think of in the area that I could reach out to, because I've got like an email that I'm going to send out and really just like send out to like several places just to see if we can get 5 to 8 people.
Kristen, I had one question. Did you take a look at the data that was about like how many people are in their family and the age, the number of kids and some of that? I was just curious if that would help us with some with thinking about that audience too.
So this is the information they filled out for all individuals living in your home. And let's see. Okay, so how do I read this? Let's see if there's like a.
I think it was like who they are and their age, maybe their gender too.
Okay,
I
so
can't remember.
Each person is going to be a person in the household. So there was 2 people that put in for 5 people.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. And most of that, or 11 of them out of 20, have 1 person or filled it out for 1 person.
Them plus 1 other. So two people total.
Right.
Okay.
All my windows are in the way. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay.
It looks like it ranged from like 2 to 6 people in the household, maybe.
Yeah, including if you include the person that's filling it out.
Right. Okay. And the other question I had was, we do have one that asks like, are you a caregiver or not? And I was just kind of curious, and actually the income would be interesting to look at, come to think of it.
income. So yeah, less than most are less than 40,000. That's a good, what, almost 90%.
Yeah. So lower income, would be one of the characteristics, and that some other stuff would come into that, but that's, I think, another one to consider.
The caregiver one is no
No,
for
okay,
15.
cool.
And this is also, this is rough. I didn't do anything to the data. I just kind of said, make me a report. I can download this if you want to, like take a look at it and share it if it helps.
Yeah, I mean, I think to look at yeah, it looks like you have located a variety of groups, which is great.
Okay.
You know, as far as, and if across those groups we can get, you know, people who, are more in line with the people that are in that, you know, out of that 20.
Mhm.
Will, when you're thinking about the audience, you know, and the folks that, when you were down there and things, are there particular characteristics of the ones we've kind of been looking at that would be key to kind of home in on, as far as sometimes we'll think about like prototypical people, and then try and find a pilot group that has more of those prototypical people, which is actually what, of course, we're doing here. But like, if we were to describe them completely, like what that would look like.
I'm not sure
Uh-huh.
because it was like a pretty broad range
Okay.
of people. I would say there were more more older participants just in like the couple days I was in Albuquerque. But then when I was down in Las Cruces, it was um, kind of not younger, but like younger than 65.
Sure.
And then there was
Okay.
like one couple that was like in their 20s. So,
Mhm.
Okay. So it looks like having having a relatively broad range, like if we can get people from their 20s into their 70s that are trying it, that would be one thing that would be good to have across the board. Or, I mean, you know, to have that variety.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm wondering too, if when we do these, this is a little funky, but it is useful. Sometimes you will have someone do a survey, and then when they're done, you'll ask them like right away, hey, were there any questions that you didn't, well, not quite you didn't like, but that you found that you had trouble thinking, you know, answering or understanding what we wanted, you know, that kind of thing. The other way we've done it sometimes has been like watch almost, well, watch is a little strong, but you're kind of like right with them. And if they have any comments or anything, you know, they're kind of talking aloud as they do it, and they can say, oh, this is a little weird the way you say it here, or, you know, I'm not quite sure what you're saying, so I'm going to guess it's this. And then they'll tell you how they filled that gap for themselves. And we'll look at that and go, oh, gosh, this person landed correctly where we wanted them to in interpreting the question, but is there a way we can make the question less open to interpretation? You know, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So that's just another way, kind of not only like who, but like if there's a way when we go out and do these, if it is that they could take them and then we could take, you know, I'm just curious, were there any questions, or, and especially, well, actually, especially if we give it to them as a paper, sometimes we'll just say, hey, mark any ones that
Yes.
were frustrating.
Yeah.
And then you go, you know, kind of debrief them, you know, that I'm sure you've done that, Kristen. But that kind of an approach, if we could, that might be useful.
I think that's what Tammy, but right before she left, she's like, here's what I envision. And then is having them mark exactly ones they either don't know how to answer or that are confused. And then we would have a short interview afterwards. And so we would give them like the two $10 gift cards as opposed to just one, because they'd be still filling out the survey, but then also giving us information through an interview. So yeah, but this was just kind of to get started to connect out into the community, and then we can go through like the protocol and the like exactly what we will
Right,
do.
totally.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I mean, I think
So
all of these groups look very reasonable to
I
use.
will. Okay. So I just
Thanks,
wanted to
Will.
see if anybody else has any other ideas. I saw Daniel, you had Groundwork Denver. So I can look into that as well. But if there's anything else that pops up, just email me or whatever, text me, and I can reach out because it may take a few days to like people
Oh,
don't
yeah.
respond right away. I want to just get on this right now to start doing that. Okay. And then with that, Marilee, I think I will let you take over
Sure.
and do the
Yeah.
review.
So, and Pi, feel free to pop in, or, elaborate on what I'm gonna say. So Erica and Pi and I met, yesterday. Was it just yesterday? Seems like way long time ago at this point. And we're going through the survey, question by question, and kind of looking at what the, things Erica had, from that initial time through, and then things that I was recommending. And we're going through, and we have, in some cases, we're looking at, removing some questions, changing some wording. So there was the one, for example, where we ask about the questions about dryers and furnaces, where, that one of the options, like, why do you change the filters out? And, we're gonna, instead of saying to avoid causing a fire, we're thinking of saying just like for safety, and seeing if that works better, because there was that concern Will brought, that people were like, oh my gosh, they didn't realize that they might catch their house on fire. And so we thought, so we're looking into, making those changes. And a couple of the things that we really wanted to get the teams, a bigger view on, were, one of them is thinking about how to make sure that the person who's answering the survey is the person that we want to have answering the survey. Because, and so we were thinking of doing that as a 2-step extravaganza. See if I have that in here. So like, it'd be like, and whether it's a printed survey or it's on the tablet, you could, in either cases it would work, but it'd be like, do you live in this house? And then we were thinking of putting like a time limit, not a time limit, but like, have you lived in this house for at least 6 months or 3 months or something, so that it's not like you're a shorter term, but you've been there a little while at least. So probably, I think we were maybe landing more on like half the year, like 6 months. Do you remember, Pi?
I think we decided on 3 months. I think 6 months was way too long.
Okay, so they would
Mhm.
answer that, and if you have, then you go to the next question, which is, we were wanting to get, a decision maker as from the household, that makes decisions on the house. And so we were trying to think of ways to describe that. And the more traditional way would be like, are you the head of the house? Are you a head of the household? And we were curious about what the bigger group thought, as far as, stating it in that way versus saying something like, do you regularly participate in making decisions about the household? Which, something like, I mean, we could do something like that too. We were just kind of trying to think of a way to say it succinctly, but that it's fairly clear that we want someone who lives there and who is involved or does ultimately make the decisions about the household. And wondering what you guys think.
I think the head of household is outdated.
Yeah,
be-
and we
to be
talked
very
about
frank.
that. And we're trying, we were
They're
like,
still using like federal surveys and stuff. So that's the only reason I came
Okay.
up with it. Like, in census and taxes and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, right. True. Like, okay, so because my husband was military, so he would be technically the head of household, but I make all the decisions. So, but either one of us could probably fill out that form. So,
yeah,
it's maybe it's a combination of it. Like, are you head of household, or
yeah.
or do you participate in those decisions?
Could that be an open response instead of a checkbox? Or like be like, are you the head of, A, head of household, B, something, C, other, fill it in.
Yeah, we could do something like that. I mean, so they could describe what it is. Because we didn't like the, you know, the head of household does sound very like 1950s. And and I'm kind of the same way. It's like if we can find something, but I like the idea of like it's this, you know, the difference would be, I guess. So like, so Daniel, what would they write? So like it would be like, are you the head of the household? Do you participate in making decisions? Or would the other, because they would still go ahead and finish the survey probably in that case, which might not be a bad thing because it could be that they do qualify. Because if it was electronic, it would be like if you mark this or this, then you continue going, and if you don't, then thank you very much and you're out the door. But we're thinking probably that we may be going to a paper survey. It seemed like that was one of the things from that Whitney was going to ask Troy.
He didn't respond back on that question.
Yeah, he didn't. And so that was one thing we were wondering about if like we could ask that question again to see if it's like, yeah, paper is just definitely the way to, you know, we really think that would work much better, in which case we won't even, you know, do it the other way. We would just have the one approach. So if that could be determined, that would, or you know, like what they're, or if they're like, well, we don't know. I mean, then we could continue to give people choice. Okay, so thinking of it as what am I trying to say? Like as a multiple choice question for that second thing. And yeah, maybe let's work on that, Pi, maybe that idea and see what we can come up with. Our plan is to the Pi and Eric and I to continue, you know, going through the survey, revising it, and then bringing the survey back to you all for, well, before we do that, so we're going to make the changes to the survey. Then we're going to make sure that all of our research questions that we haven't inadvertently gotten rid of the variables that we really need. That's always not a fun thing to find out at the end. So we're going to match things back up, make sure that we've got what we need in there. And that may also tell us, well, we can actually remove a few more things potentially, who knows? But then we were going to, once we had that done, bring it back to you all with, here are the research questions and here's the revised survey for folks to take a look at. And if we need, and get your feedback, make any other changes, and then we would be ready to pilot at that point.
Okay. I have a quick question though. Is there a reason why we didn't get their name?
The name of the person who did it, you mean?
The person like filling out the survey. I don't have a name when I send out gift cards. So I have to put current resident at this point.
Oh, I assume it's because as part of the confidentiality piece of it, we said, you know, we're not connecting your name to any of your answers. And so the other way we've done that sometimes is, you know, you'll have at the very end, it'll say, now to get your gift card, click here. And then on that screen that is unconnected to the survey, you will have them put their name in. And we could, I mean, I don't see any reason for us not potentially adding it at that end. But it is, you know, typically it would be in that way so that there's this true like separation of them. And then if you have a paper one, because we don't have a consent form that's, you know, like a signed consent form that you can hook back to. Well, sometimes with the paper one, we've had them fill it out and like detach it from the survey. So that it's like, here's your pile of names and addresses, and here's your pile of surveys, and they don't, you can't, again, you know, match them back up so that the person, you know, filling it out feels comfortable. I mean, that is easier when it's electronic because you can just have to go to that other screen, you know, and put it in there. Pi, what have you done, or Daniel, what have you guys done in cases like that?
So for us, we've like given a randomized code printed at the bottom of the survey, and then we have like a data source somewhere, like that only can be accessed by researchers, where you can connect that code to the individual person. So that is done just for like the survey responses. So like it could be like a random 13 integer variable or something that can then be connected post hoc to the participant.
And then somewhere, then you have them actually put their name into the survey as well?
No, we
No.
don't put names into the survey.
Yeah.
I think with IRB, that's like a big no.
Right,
So
yeah.
I
like,
figured that was the case, but
yeah.
yeah,
So you guys, so, I mean, so basically, and that's what we're trying to do, is kind of like keep those two things
Mhm.
separate.
yeah.
And usually sometimes we've had someone there who just collects the name, like literally separate. Well, they would, well,
we
we
don't
would
have to
the
answer it right
address.
now. I mean, but we can kind of think through like that part of it, because while you're adjusting the survey, maybe think about
Right.
how we
Yeah,
can do
so
that.
it's like if you're sending the survey by mail, you can you can print their name on the postcard and probably have them write their names on the informed consent as well. But on the survey itself, I think we're not allowed to have any sort of identifiers.
Yeah, I mean, typically we don't do that. And since
Yeah.
they'll be doing it right there, it's not being sent through the mail. It's like, here's the survey. And then it
Uh-huh.
would be collected by but we do have their address. We just don't have
Yeah,
their
I was
name.
gonna say we do have identifiers because we have their address at the beginning of the survey and we have their address at the end of the survey when we ask about the gift card.
Well, and we did
Yeah.
think about getting rid of one of those
Okay.
so that we don't need both, we don't need to have it in both cases unless there'd be some reason someone, so that would be one thing. Yeah. But we can figure something out so they know it's not junk mail. Because they're getting
It's
something in with,
handwritten. Like
Yeah,
it's handwritten. So and it says attention Tammy Bond, like CSU, I think that sort of thing on the return address. So I'm hoping
yeah,
that works, but that was all I could do at this point because I had to get 15 of them out.
yeah.
It had
Well,
been like over a month.
I wonder if no, I was gonna say no. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud too much. But yeah, we'll have to we'll get that figured out, definitely, one way or the
Okay.
other, so that, it's more, because we didn't want the assessors to have to hand out the gift card. We wanted that not to be something that they
Right.
had to deal with. Right, right.
Or give them a bunch of gift cards that we can't track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Daniel, do you have any experience in, or when it's been so long since I've actually done a written survey that I haven't been there to, like, here you go, kind of thing with.
I don't have any experience with written surveys. I mean, could we solve this by sending out a digital gift card? Like get an email from them and do that?
So we did capture emails. Not everybody put their email and everybody put their address, and like we can't do the Dollar Tree one through email, and then we also just bulk bought a bunch of gift cards. So maybe yes, at another iteration we could look into the digital part if we want to change it, but right now we have to stick with like mailing out a card.
Gotcha.
I think we thought going digital might be more problematic for the group. I mean, I think there could have been some discussion about, like, an older person might not be as familiar with getting it on their phone. Might have been part, but I think it was also the fact that, like, Dollar Tree, we couldn't do it for all of them. And so it would be like, oh, if you want this kind, then this one we can give you now. But if you want Dollar Tree, we have to mail that to you.
Right.
Yeah. I think, well, and those were the big, I mean, like I said, we're going through and looking at the response sets, trying to get rid of those strongly agree to strongly disagree and rephrasing those. And we're clarifying some things. We're going through, and we're at the point now where we're kind of talking about that idea of, where we getting to the part of the survey where we talk about air quality and
Mhm.
the fact, I remember Will saying that a lot of time, at least when he was there, that the folks were like, they weren't real sure what that meant. And, some things like that. So we're looking at some ways to like say, here's what we're talking about, and then to ask them some questions about it, a little bit about it after that. So, so like what we might do for the preface to the air quality, that part about air quality, we were thinking of like, the following questions ask you about the air quality in your home and community. Air quality describes how polluted the air we breathe is. And then just leave it at that. And then from there, ask them a few questions about it. So, we're on our way with that one. And on some of the other ones, we're just trying to reduce, like some of the lists that were like, rank the top 3 concerns you have about your house, and there were like 15. We're cutting that down we're cutting some of that stuff down, so that this should reduce the size of the survey, which will be nice, probably most likely, as well as focusing it more and making it more appropriate in the way we're asking the questions for the people that we're surveying.
While you're doing that, I wonder if this would help. Let me share my screen one more time. Because right now, you saw it yesterday, so it's just kind of like a page, and you kind of go through. I did find a way to do it more like Qualtrics, where it is one question per screen. So, but the challenge around, and this is like a preview of it on a tablet, so that's why it looks kind of weird, but they would have to kind of scroll within the scroll, which is a little awkward. But this would be like the intro, and it would kind of pop up and it would just say one question. The only bad thing about one of these is, it's one of those questions that you have to answer more than one. It's like this, so this here, and then you have to kind of scroll within that.
Gotcha.
So just keep that in mind. We could potentially design it this way. But we'd have to kind of rethink a little of the questions to make sure it's just like one question, or they're
Right.
like how many people, and then they say, okay, person 1, and then here's person 2.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's like that.
Right.
It's just how we set up the form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, they do have the option to make it full screen like this. So, and then they have to, maybe not. And the other thought I had about doing it this way is that I think they always see how many questions, and that can be overwhelming to people if it's a long set of questions. So just a couple things to consider, that we do have this option, but I'm trying to get to that one. Oh yeah, these tables right here.
Yeah.
So maybe these are set up to where it's one question per thing, so it's not overwhelming to see like where does this line up and everything too. So
there can be some nice things with the like with breaking it down to like one at a time, and you keep going through. Yeah.
And I can see if we can turn this thing off. I just found this option the other day. So Jotphone's a little bit newer to me, but so yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen it sometimes where instead of like saying how many questions, it'll say, kind of gives you a bar, and it'll be like you're this far across. And sometimes that can be, I mean, some survey design says that is a good thing, because it's like, especially if it's a bit long, it's like, okay, I'm getting closer to the end. Okay, I can see the end in sight. But yeah, I think once we find out kind of get some more information from Troy about if really like it would be easier on the assessors, if they think that would, a good thing for, on their end, and for the folks doing it to go all paper, we can do that. We could offer them the option, which is what we've done sometimes. Well, we usually do that anyway on a survey like this, where it's in person, that if someone didn't want to use a tablet, they could go that other way or something. But yeah, that's interesting. That's Jotform, huh?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you can customize it like that. The image background is the same one I use on the website, so it's consistent and that sort of thing. So just an option, and just to kind of keep in mind in the back of your head when you're redesigning the questions is like, could we break this up even more or that sort of
Right,
thing.
yeah, and I think for a lot of those, we could, the one where we probably couldn't, but we're cutting at least the number, is that when we're asking them to rank, and we're not asking them to rank it either, we're just gonna say, what are your top 3 concerns in your house, or something like that, instead of like, please rank your top 3, it'll just be like, what are the 3 out of this list that you are most concerned about, you know, fixing, or whatever that question has, but we could, so then
Would
they
that
would, yeah.
change to a checkbox? Like
Yeah,
they
it would
pick
just be
3?
like, pick 3, and once you've got 3, then you're, you know, you're done with that question. So that'll make, it should be a much easier question for them to answer. And if we cut the number of things they're choosing from, then that could potentially fit on that one screen pretty easily. Yeah,
Mhm.
cool. Well, that's what we had, to share with you guys. We're chugging along. It's just taking a little, I was sick last week, so I didn't get a chance to talk to Erica Pye till this week. So so sorry for the delay on that piece of things, but, we're, making good progress now, and, I think we should be able to meet next week too, probably, hopefully Pie, the 3 of us, and get through the rest of that, and have it in pretty decent shape, so that we can then do our comparison of questions to, variables, you know, research questions to the questions we're asking, to make sure we've got everything. And because I think not next week, but maybe the week after that, we could come back to the, full
be good.
sapphires.
Yeah.
So it'd give us like 2 weeks to do that.
Yeah, next week is, I will not be here, so I won't be able to like lead the meeting, but or open it or anything like that. So I think in 2 weeks would be good, and that way we can, hopefully 2 weeks I will have updates from any of the people that I've reached out to, and potentially have connections. So I'm anticipating that may take a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. Well, then what, I think, why don't you and I and Erica will shoot for being ready in 2 weeks to bring the survey back. And we'll probably be able to tell you after a week, you know, if we need more time, but that'll be what
Okay.
what we'll shoot for.
Sounds good.
Sure. Sounds good to me too.
Great. Well, that's all I had. Pi, was there anything, that else that we wanted to bring up or anything?
No, I think we covered everything.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, have a good weekend, everybody, then. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining.
All right.
We'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Everyone.